That's what they mean, nigga. It's a king. And they switch it and change it all. Next thing you know, they got it meaning something else.
Yeah, that was a...
This is the symbol. The symbol is every now and then, you niggers get caught. You come over here with us. Got no problem with that. But every now and then you get caught, and sometimes you have to die. So that's why it's pictures of the $10 bill.
Like 80?
Who got a $2 bill? Is that a $2 bill?
I don't get it.
$2 bill. Is that a $2 bill? Y'all heard me say it's phony as a $2 bill? I love this. I brought you something. I got that piece from you out the paper company. I brought you something. $2 bill. Yeah. Hold it. It's phony as a $2 bill. You cannot be a president of the United States in this country. You can be a general without the president signing off on you. Huh? So how could George Washington be a general and be the first president? There was 8 presidents before him, all of them was black. George Washington was the 9th president, and all of those presidents on the back of the $2 bill.
No.
Now, 8 of them, 7 of them look like Hamilton. But one of them, the brother there to the left, will let you find him. Come on, my eyes here. Come on, y'all. 3 of y'all. Were you up there? No, y'all hold it. All y'all looking together. Come on, all y'all. Turn around, to the left. See the brother with the nappy hair sitting in the chair on the left. All right? That's John Hanson. John Hanson. Anybody here from Maryland? Anybody ever lived in Maryland? Highway 50? It's called the John Hanson Highway. So what did John Hanson do that died before Abraham, that died before George Washington? What did he do so great to get a highway in there? He was the first president of the United States. Now what I brought for you, sister, is I did this on a radio show in St. Louis. Now, come on. I tell you I'm gonna sit down. And my sister pulled it up on the internet. Huh? What's that say? This come off the internet.
George Washington, our 9th president.
Okay, off the internet now. Go ahead, what's it say? So if he was the 9th president, and if there was 8 before him, and they start counting with Washington, then if you add 8 to Clinton's 42, Clinton is the what president? Okay, go ahead and read that to me.
On January 20th, 1997.
Loud so they can hear you.
On January 20th, 1997, the United States re-inaugurated Bill Clinton as its 50th president.
Yeah? Now that's on the internet now. So, what's the website on that? It's on there. We'll get it. Now listen. He'll get it to you every time. Now listen. Why is this important? Because once you start knowing who you are, huh? Page 3, you got a picture here. Show it to him. Page 3. First president of the United States. Black. Hold up so you can see it. That's John Hanson.
Yeah, that part.
Now read what it says.
Okay. Bronze by Richard Lee Brooks. Given in 1903, located in the Senate connecting corridor.
In the Senate building, this nigga's picture is there, but they don't say why. They don't say he's the first president of the United States. And all of them was Moors, and their symbol was what? Huh? Come on, huh? Come on. Here, huh? Well, the cherry tree. So the code is George Washington chopped the cherry tree down. That's when they switch the signals. Huh?
So,
That's cool.
And y'all be careful with that pyramid. That pyramid ain't as strong as y'all think it is. That's just some nigga stuff they gave y'all. Because the Egyptians is the lightest Africans on the continent of Africa. So they want to make y'all think it's a light thing.
Islam. Let's get the prayer up. That was a good one. Thanks to Brother Amari. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation,
and my salvation.
by night,
and
by day,
by day,
through His holy prophet,
through His holy prophet,
Noble Jew Ali,
Noble Jew Ali,
Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Peace and love to all the Moors. I'm going to go a little bit off of protocol today. And instead of reading our to be read in every meeting, we're going to start off today with chapter 4 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, in memory of one of my cousin who got run over by some crazy man last night in Sault Ste. Marie. So he had two sons, and the sons were from native sister. And maybe about 2 weeks ago, we were having a conversation on the phone because his father died like 20 years ago by the same thing. Some crazy man run through a light, T-boned his dad's car, killed his dad. Now he died the same way. Alright, so we just want to put this class out for our good brother Destro. If anybody is familiar with Monolith, he was in the Monolith and all that. Mm-hmm. So he's known around here. So we just want to give him his honors. Let him know it's not no mourning going on, because we have a higher degree of knowledge as far as death is concerned. So we're just gonna go to the Prophet, since today we're dealing with Noble Jew Ali. We're gonna start off with chapter 4, Death and Burial of Elizabeth. Matheno's Lessons, the Ministry of Death. When John was 12 years old, his mother died, and neighbors laid her body into a tomb among her kindred in the Hebron burying ground and near to Zachariah's tomb. And John was deeply grieved. He wept. Matheno said, "It is not well to weep because of death. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth, that it may sail on smoother seas. No language can describe a mother's worth, and yours was tried and true, but she was not called hence until her tasks were done. The cause of death are always for the best, for we are solving problems here as well as there, and one is sure to find himself where he can solve his problems best. It is selfishness that makes one wish to call again to earth departed souls. Then let your mother rest in peace. Just let her noble life be strength and inspiration unto you. A crisis in your life has come, and you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. The sages of all ages call you harbinger. The prophets took you and say, he is Elijah come again. Your mission here is that of a harbinger, for you will go before the Messiah's face to pave his way and make the people ready to receive their king. This readiness is purity of heart. None but the pure in heart can recognize the king. To teach men to be pure in heart, you must yourself be pure in heart and word and deed. In infancy, the vow for you was made that you become a Nazirite. The razor shall not touch your face nor head, and you shall not taste wine or fiery drinks. Men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead. The men who stand upon the corner of the path and points the way, but does not go, just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. The teacher treads the way. On every span of ground he leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see, and be assured that he, their master, went that way. Men comprehend the inner life by what they see and do. They come to Allah through ceremonies and forms. And so, when they would make men know that sins are washed away by purity and life, a rite symbolic may be introduced. In water, wash the bodies of the people who would turn away from sin and strive for purity and life. This rite of cleansing is a preparation rite, and they who thus are cleansed comprise the temple of purity. And you shall say, you men of Israel, hear, reform and wash, become the sons of purity, and you shall be forgiven. This rite of cleansing and this temple are but symbolic of the soul, which does not come with outward show, but is the temple within. Now you may never point the way and tell multitudes to do what you have never done, but you must go before and show the way. You are to teach that men must wash, so must sound like they're talking to dirty Moors. You are to teach that men must wash, so must lead the way. Your body must be washed, symbolic cleansing of the soul. John said, why need I wait? May I not go at once and wash? Matheno said, 'tis well. And they went down to the Jordan and east of Jericho, just where the host of Israel crossed. When first they entered Canaan, they tarried for a time. Matheno taught the harbinger, and he explained to him the inner meaning of the cleansing rite and how to wash himself and how to wash the multitude. And in the river Jordan, John was washed. Then they returned unto the wilderness. Now in En-Gedi's hills, Matheno's work was done, and he and John went to Egypt. They rested until they reached the temple of Saqqara in the valley of the Nile. For many years, Matheno was a master in his temple of brotherhood. And when he told about the life of John and his mission to the sons of men, the Hierophant with joy received the harbinger, and he was called the brother Nazarite. For 18 years John lived and wrought within these temple gates, and here he conquered self, became a mastermind, and learned the duties of the harbinger. So we go to continue on with that. We go to chapter 48 of the Quran, the end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Jew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Isa in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was taught by Isa. In these modern days there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of foul earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam. And his name is Noble Jew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days, for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Let's continue right there. We, as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed, for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore we are returning the church and the Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. Come all ye Asiatics of America and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourself with the families of the nations. We honor all the true and divine prophets.
All right. So, Noble Drew Ali, his significance, his importance to why we're doing what it is that we do, and why we have an obligation to make sure that his name keeps ringing in the people's ears. For people who didn't get the link, the intro to the class was Dick Gregory letting you know that even he knows about Moors. He knows about John Hanson being first president, all that. Knows about $2 bill, all the stuff on there. So, you know, for the naysayers who think that Moors is just something only Moors talk about and nobody else talks about, now you have Dick Gregory now on the record, right? What was that, 97?
97.
97, Dick Gregory. 97. Letting the people know that it's all about, do you know who you are?
He says that.
Do you know who you are?
He says that.
If you do not know who you are, you're definitely going to have problems dealing with these so-called foreigners that are holding seats of power in your government that you abandoned because you don't know who you are. That we've been putting on people to the point where, you know, Moors even founded an organization called Great Seal so people could get the point of what that's really about when they turn that $1 note over and they see that pyramid on there, and under it says the Great Seal, right? And then when you flip it up as upside down, the pyramid shadow becomes a 7 in a circle. But people aren't paying attention, so they stay lost. They stay getting dragged in classrooms and stuff like that under the guise of, you know, they got some rights when, you know, you're supposed to have your own stuff. You don't matter the colonizer for doing what they do in their jurisdiction. That's their jurisdiction. Clearly that's their jurisdiction, right? So our first stop, so we got a few stops to make today with regard to Noble Drew Ali, and we're going to talk from all these different perspectives. One piece that was missing that I wanted to use as a reference today, but you can just go get it, is Exhuming of a Nation by Pleasant Bay. I can't remember who I loaned that book to, but it disappeared. But you want to get that book. I don't care what the price of it is now. Make sure you get that book by Pleasant Bay, Exhuming of a Nation. So our first stop is, who is Noble Drew Ali? Who was Noble Drew Ali? And this is a book authored by Brother Henry Ronnie C.L. in Georgia. Who is Noble Drew Ali? Right, he's on Facebook. All the Facebook people, just go look him up. Heru Ronnie C.L. and support his changing the literature, because it's an obligation that somebody that claims that they are some type of head in the Moorish movement or whatever, that they put out literature to help these people change their warped mentalities that they have about who they are. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born in North Carolina in the Cherokee Nation territory. His birth name was Timothy Drew, and his birthday was January 8th, 1886, bringing him under the stellar mathematic astrological influence of the house of Capricorn, whose influencing planet is Saturn. According to the oral story regarding Drew Ali, it is said that when he was born, there was a great earthquake, which was a result of Drew Ali's spirit hitting the earth. He stated about his own birth that when I was born, it turned dark black in the daytime, the people put their hose down and came out of their houses. His father was an ex-slave and his mother was a Moroccan and Cherokee. The Drew family moved to Newark, New Jersey, where Drew Ali's mother died. He was left to live with an incredibly mean aunt who was abusive to him. She once pushed him into a hot stove, and as a result, he carried scars the rest of his life. Not much history is known about his parents, only oral history from the elders of the Morris Science Temple of America. Much of the history regarding Noble Drew Ali is shrouded in mystery because of the era he lived in. Early 20th century was a rough time to gather information about Moorish leaders, and the nefarious intent of the establishment to bury knowledge regarding this noble brother. It is said that around the age of 16, he joined the circus and began to travel with the gypsies, who were mixed Moorish nomads who studied the occult. Now, when we look at Capricorn, right? When we look at Saturn, we look at this concept of the gypsies and things like that, we have to come to the realization that ain't nothing wrong with Baphomet. Baphomet's not some evil whatever that, you know what I mean, is, you know, because Drew Ali's on that same frequency and we don't consider him evil. Right? So when we say that when we say that Baphomet, occult, right? You know that when you look up the Baphomet, he's branded in his pineal gland with the Moroccan star, right? Occult, you know, is witchcraft. Witchcraft is witch, and witch is wise, woman. Not, you know, Halloween riding on a broom or whatever like that, and she has the cat with the cauldron with the heads in there, and right? A witch is a wise woman, right? Or even if we say bushwoman. And then when we say bushwoman, majority of people, 99% of the people, if you had any type of connection to your grand or great grandmother, you know that they never told you take Buckley's, they never told you take Triminic, they never told you pop pills or whatever like that. They went outside, they picked something, and they boiled it and told you plug your nose and drink it. I don't care how it tastes, and then you felt better in an hour. Bushwoman. And then all this occult, witchcraft, whatever, ties to native culture. Whether it's culture in so-called Africa or America. Right? So think about the power that the Gnostics, think about the power that the Templars, think about the power that all these so-called secret societies put behind Baphomet and use that to their, you know, however they want to use it. It's the same type of power, energy, frequency we should put in behind Noble Drew Ali, being that he's Capricorn, being that ruled by Saturn, and being that he was studied, as it says, when he traveled with the gypsies, who were mixed Moorish nomads that studied occult. Now, according to the Moorish elder Elihu Pleasant Bay, in his biography of Noble Drew Ali, Exhuming of a Nation, same book I was talking about, quote, from the very outset, young Timothy Drew showed unusual powers in controlling unseen ethers and spirits. By the age of 12, he made objects move and with thought and could elevate his body. These gifts were considered quote-unquote magic and somehow ended with Timothy joining a traveling band of gypsies. During his early teens, Ali heard a voice began to speak forcefully yet softly to him in a place where he could only hear, "Go, I am with you." Right? So Noble Drew Ali, and again, just like, once again, native culture, as far as Moors are concerned, Moorish Americans, our history about anything from Noble Drew Ali to now is highly considered oral history, because there's no way that you're going to go out there and find some book or whatever telling you about the real perspective of Noble Drew Ali and all the lessons and his life and whatever like that, unless it comes from people who were there.
You're never going to hear it.
Right? Never going to hear it.
I didn't hear about Noble Drew Ali until I got with this.
Right? So we have now, again, we're talking about the fact that this individual from a very young age showed unusual powers in controlling unseen ethers and spirits. Right? Showed unusual powers, not usual powers that everybody had. Because once you're vibrating on the right frequency, you know, anybody could do stuff. But his powers were unusual. He was on a different level at a young age. And again, it's oral history, and you have black guys, oh, we don't know if that happened or whatever like that. Well, we don't care what black guys think, because they have no status. Anything that they say could be refuted, right? And the fact that we know about everybody else, as far as quote-unquote black people, African people, whatever, liberation, we know about everybody else, but just like you're saying, if I didn't hear about Noble Drew Ali till I came to this, that's a problem.
Well, that's how you know it's real.
That it's real.
Because some people, they'll give a little here and there about
right.
them and twist up their story, but Noble Drew Ali, not even one
not even
mentioned. Never.
One mention.
Never.
And if they do mention, they mention in their little secret chambers, like there was brothers who were in early Nation of Islam, that this is like maybe like 60s and before, they would bring them up early in the meetings. Oh yeah, you know, honors to Fard and honors to Noble Drew Ali and then immediately that stuff started getting, you know, wiped out. They stopped mentioning him. But they keep the concept of, you know, one-on-one questionnaire. So you have the question and the answer. Nation of Gods got it. Nation of Islam got it. Garveyites got it. Rastafarians got it. Everybody follows that program of give you a question and answer, and then that's how they form the concept for the people who are in their group, organization, whatever, right? But to leave Noble Drew Ali out of the picture lets us know that it might not have been them leaving them out. Because Noble Drew Ali himself said that, I'm here for the young and unborn. So anybody who was around him at the time, they were irrelevant to him. That's why when people, there was last week or something, Somebody put up a picture, yeah, you know, here's a picture of whatever, can you name the people in this picture? And then my thing was, who gives a shit who these people are? It's all about who this individual right here called Noble Drew Ali, that's the only important individual in this picture. Ain't nobody else matter. Why? Because they're not the prophet. They don't matter. It doesn't matter whether what they did, how they supported, whatever. He himself said that he's here for the young and unborn. Right? So if he's here for the young and unborn, then he wasn't presented for the individuals that he was around during that time. Like, he wasn't for them. If they got down with the program, good. You know what I mean? But based on, you know, like brother saying, well, I haven't heard about Noble Drew Ali till right now, and then this 2013, 14, 15 or whatever, he's been here since 1913, and you're just hearing about him now? Obviously those people around him didn't do their job back then. Because everybody should know about Noble Drew Ali, just like they know about Marcus Garvey, Haile Selassie. Oh yeah, honors to all the Rastafarians. Coronation tomorrow. Haile Selassie's coronation, November 2nd, 1930, all that stuff. Right? They know about him. They know about, you know, Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad. You know, they know about Clarence 13X. They know about, you know, Father Divine. They know about Sweet Daddy Grace. They know about all these people who were born around the same time as Noble Drew Ali was born, but they don't know about him. Right? But again, they had an obligation to tell. The fact that they didn't might not have been them. It might have been Noble Drew Ali that put a hex on those people to shut the hell up, because you guys have nothing to do with the prophet. Right? Many people recognize Noble Drew Ali as a reincarnation of the Egyptian adept master Yahshua, the Logos Sananda, known today as Jesus. It is also related that Noble Drew Ali traveled to Egypt and Morocco. Each place he studied under masters who trained him in high-level esotericism, hidden sciences, through using the traditions of the ancient Egyptian mystery system. So Noble Drew Ali was taught the ancient Egyptian mysteries of Kemet. But he never called himself Egyptian, Kemetan. He never repped Kemetic anything, right? But there's people today that rep that. Like, that is a reality, when it's not a reality. Because we already know, if there was something called Kemet, there would be gold pyramids with limestone capstones and stuff like that over in Egypt right now. Those things are mere figments of people's imagination. Yeah, you can go see them or whatever, you know what I mean? You know, it's our history, but ain't nothing there right now to be talking about, oh yeah, we're the Kemetic, whatever, because there's nothing over there. It's rundown buildings, people scraping off stuff, repainting stuff, and they're saying that that's their culture? Because it's still there? Well, there's pyramids still in Mexico. You're not claiming that as their culture. There's pyramids in China. They're not claiming that as their culture, but they're going to claim these rundown stuff in Egypt, saying that that's what qualifies them. And then keep in mind, once again, that of all these pyramids in the world, forget the ones in China, the ones in Mexico, the ones that are, you know, of dirt. The main one they don't claim is the Great Seal at the back of the $1 note. That's the main pyramid that they don't claim, that they should be claiming if they say that they're Kemetic. But then if they claim that, then they can't say that they're Kemetic now. They're going to have to say that they're Moors, because, you know, that pyramid at the back of the dollar bill has nothing to do with some over in Africa BS that these people are talking about. And then also, too, remember, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James, that none of these Kemetic guys talk about his book, when he said that the Moors are the custodians of the ancient Kemetic culture when Kemet fell. And then it's in the so-called black consciousness realm, it is a fact that he was assassinated for writing that book. Don't worry, that's just the spirits pushing the door.
Trying to get it.
Right? These masters taught him of his mission to raise the Moors in the West and of his prophethood. In Morocco, he learned of the Moors and of the national headdress of the Moors, which is the fez. He also learned of other Moorish headdresses of the scholarly imam, called turban in English. While in New Jersey, Noble Drew Ali met the then governor of New Jersey named Woodrow Wilson. He met Wilson in 1912. In fact, it is said that Noble Drew Ali helped Wilson get elected. Drew Ali had over 900 followers in the Newark, New Jersey temple. Drew Ali showed Wilson how his birth name Drew was under the jurisdiction of the state of North Carolina and that the fictional 14th and 15th Amendments. After meeting the prophet, Wilson would later become president on March 4th, 1913. This meeting between prophet and governor would later prove useful in what the prophet had to do. Drew Ali would later meet Wilson as president and retrieve the Moorish flag from the archives in Washington, D.C., according to the oral statements and prophecies by Brother Arlov L. Grand Sheikh C. Kirkman Bay Line of Succession, Statement 107. We find, when Prophet went to the White House for the Moors, President Wilson was in office. He said, "I come for my people." He asked, "Who are your people? Are they the colored people?" The Prophet said, "No." "Are they like that man there? Are they Negroes?" He said, "No." "Who are your people?" The Prophet said, "They are the people who you brought here in 1619, the Moors." When the Prophet said that, the President stepped back and said, "We have been looking for you." The Prophet told them, "You can take me into your upper chambers and I will stand your hardest tests." The Prophet disappeared and reappeared above them. The Prophet asked them, "Where is their flag?" The Prophet said, those that he had come to at the White House for the flag 7 times before, they came back with the flag. When they brought it, the Prophet said, "Where is the star that was on it?" He made them go back and get the star. Ironically, 1913 is when Morocco added the star to their flag. They had forgotten the star was supposed to be there because they were occupied by the French. When the Prophet made the Europeans go back to get the star to add the Moorish flag here in the West, the Moroccan government in the East followed suit and added the star over there. So that was Who Was Noble Drew Ali by Heru Ranasi L. We got a couple copies up there. Right? For all the people online, there it is. Go support the brother. Any questions? All right. Hit it up again. Oh, Noble Drew Ali.
Of Noble Drew Ali. About 9 decades have passed, 1913 AD, since Noble Drew Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, officially established and organized a functional and modern social and political form which was oriented towards, conceived as, and visualized for awakening and activating the mentally enslaved, nationally dormant and unconscious aboriginal descendants of the ancient Moors of North America. This original form was structured to address a span of broad and general areas of misdirected social needs and spiritual concept corrections. And so the Moorish Divine and National Movement became a major institution for uplifting fallen humanity. Economic and political development, which instructional rules for harmony and community stability, was of paramount concern. Concentric efforts were allotted to true spiritual re-educational needs and necessities. These are multifaceted efforts were geared toward Moorish culture reintroduction and were made to uplift the Moorish nation of North America. Noble Drew Ali's work to remove the social compromising coined brands. Other efforts and instructions included proper education, base directives for advanced functional knowledge about ancient Moabite Moorish philosophy and high cultural disciplines. The Moorish Divine and National Movement of the world consists of the Old Canaanland Temple, founded in 1913. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Moorish Science Temple of America, August 1928 AD, etc. There are numerous other active and progressive Moorish orders and associations which by natural progression evolved and expanded from Noble Drew Ali's works, teachings, and instructions. A major theme of Noble Drew Ali's instruction to the Aboriginal Moors is for them to aid him in his great missionary work in uplifting fallen humanity, and to command the enforcement of the Constitution of the United States of America. Prudent and proven governmental and civilization principles were devoted to personal growth and to civic and social advancement. Attention was given to correct status, voting, family progress, and activities for general corrective improvement. The newly conscious Moorish Americans were given true governmental order by example and a knowledge of this structure. Moors were instructed to take an intelligent and active stand and position on national and world issues. Particular emphasis was put upon nationalized Moors to become active, not to be passive. Moors were instructed by Noble Drew Ali to take other places among the affairs of men. Thus we see in these days the exercising and grooming of those active and progressive natural persons, Moors, who study, understand, and recognize the truth about their unalienable rights and about their birthrights.
So, the Moorish movement started as the whole Canaanite temple, then went to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, then the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the purpose of it being established was the uplifting of fallen humanity. Noble Drew Ali did not found this movement to be religious only. This was not created in order for people to deify him, make him some type of, coming out the clouds or whatever like that, praying to him, singing hymns to him, clapping, rejoicing, get the Holy Spirit, and then go home.
Like a demigod.
Like a demi, right? Right? He came to bring us back into a civic mindset because we fell from this mindset of dealing with constitutional law, dealing with, and this is not just, our people. Everybody had fallen from the teachings of what's a constitution, what are rights, how do you exercise your rights, what's your status, what jurisdiction are you in. All these things are things that we're supposed to be taught because these institutions were supposed to be schools. When we get later on, you'll realize why and how it went from being a school to being what it is that we see today. When you go online, you punch up Moorish Science Temple, or you go on YouTube, you punch up Moorish Science Temple, and you see stuff that comes up, and you have people saying, "Oh yeah, well I went to the temple, I didn't like it because it felt like church or whatever." All that stuff is concerted effort to get the people away from these things. Right? Because remember that we'll go through, list of organizations that exist today that's still been around, that was around even during these times, that they're still around today. And all of them have strayed away from teaching the people about law, civics, history, things like that. All they do is teach what they're ordered to teach by whoever they're registered to. Right? There's another thing that we have to put up here is Moorish Guide newspaper. And the Moorish Guide newspaper was how majority of the things like Holy Quran 101 questionnaire, oral statements, literature, Moorish literature. All these things were in the newspaper during Noble Drew Ali's time. Before they were in book form like we have them on the wall. They weren't always in book form like that. They were part of the newspaper because the newspaper is public record. The newspaper makes this information that we have accessible to anybody who wants it. You don't have to come join into some order or nothing like that. You just get the paper and everything's there, right? So one of the articles in the Moorish Guide was called Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. In connection with the aims, objectives, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization covering its inception, rise and progress, and the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relations with mankind in general. So generally speaking, our interaction with mankind, with humanity, should be based on the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice before anything else. Before, oh, he has something in his store that you want, or she has a way to do something, so whatever they're doing is irrelevant if they're not being interacted with under these principles, right? I further most anxiously hope this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of at all times upholding those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization of our posterity, such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance, and unity. We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925. And were legally incorporated as a civic organization of the state of Illinois in 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple May 1928. In accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of the State of Illinois, the object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and to teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. Teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens, which means that the so-called members of Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Science Temple of America, and anything branching from that, they were citizens of something. Now, they weren't citizens of U.S. Corporation, we know that for a fact, but they were citizens of something, right? And the great program of uplifting fallen humanity was to groom us so that we can be better at this. Forget being members of whatever. Because as soon as you say, oh, I'm a member of Moorish Science Temple of America, you already know that your civic duty as a citizen is a messed up perspective. If this is where you are as far as, wanting to be part of what Noble Drew Ali established. So as individuals, as soon as we say, well, I'm a member of whatever, relative to anything Noble Drew Ali, your concept has to be that being a member is secondary. You're a citizen first. First you're a citizen, and then you're a member. Right? A national organization with a Rotarian complexion as it relates to branch temples became obvious with the increasing number of inquiries from men and women in different sections of the country concerning the purpose of the organization. There are branch temples in 15 different states at this time. Since the work of the Morris Science Temple of America was largely religious, the organization has been legally changed to a religious corporation, and an affidavit to this effect has been properly filed in the Cook County's Recorder's Office of Illinois. Now we have to also keep in mind that many people speak from the perspective of this only. Morris Science Temple of America. Like this is the all and be all of what Noble Drew Ali presented to the people. When the reality is that the Morris Science Temple of America is from 1928. Right? This is 1913. This is 1925, 26, and then this is 28. This was the last thing to be established by Noble Drew Ali. Being that this is the last thing to be established, if this is the primary focus, which it has been because of the infiltration, to keep people focused on this and have them not knowing about this or like this, then the people's concept of this is going to be that it is religious. And they forget about the whole concept of citizens, even though in all Noble Drew Ali stuff, he's talking about constitution, he's talking about civics, he's talking about law, he's talking about all these things that have to do with having jurisprudence or having law as the foundation, not religion. Because even this religious corporation, the right to religion or anything religious is part of the Constitution. So even from a religious perspective, like when we see Punjabis or whatever, and they got their turban, and they're gonna fight for their turban. The Sikhs, right? And police, if they're police, they got turban on. If they firemen or whatever like that, they got turban on. If they got bike out there, they don't wear no helmet, they got turban on. There's no leniency with regard to their culture to wear a turban. And then everybody's going to say, oh yeah, because they're religion. No, it's because they have a constitutional right to that. They have a constitutional right to wear their turban. Again, citizen first, member secondary. So anything you do as a member, right? Hindustani says, in the morning you have their dot or whatever, oh yeah, that's a religion. That's not religion. They have a right to their religion. They have a constitutional right to exercise that. So what Noble Drew Ali did is open this window of constitutional rights to these people that were classified in this time as Negro, black, colored people. Because as Negro, black, colored people, you have no rights. As African, as Ethiopian, you have no rights. As white, as whatever you want to call yourself, that there's no geographical landmass to identify where that is, you have no rights. Rights do not apply. So he made it very clear that in order for the people to have a safe haven, because of people out there getting lynched and stuff like that, burned at the stake, whatever, just because of how they look, they better be a member of this. And then by being a member of this, it'll make you a better citizen. Because you're a citizen already. But we never knew about our connection to the government here. Because we always thought it was a white man's government. That's why we played the thing in debating with John Hanson, to show you that even Dick Gregory knows that Asiatics were the founders, were the first presidents of the U.S.A government, the United States of America, which includes Canada, because Canada's in America. That's why in Articles of Confederation, Canada's part of it, of agreeing to everything in the Union. And then they, like we talked about last week, they give people the Constitution Act and then tell them that that's the law, when that has nothing to do with law. That's corporate policy. So Noble Drew Ali was taking away the corporate veil from his people and bringing them into actual de jure government. And keep in mind that he was also Cherokee, which we know what Cherokees are. But then he never called himself that either. Never identified himself as Indian, never called himself Cherokee, never tied himself to any one of these 6 nations or any of the stuff that we see today. He brought a whole different jurisdiction in saying that we are Moors, Aboriginal indigenous people to this land. Right? So there's a lot that was done, and there's a lot that could be said with regard to what he brought. And what we want people to realize is the foundation of what he brought. The essence of what he brought is constitutional and civic in nature. Forget religion. This is not a religious thing. This is a civic thing. This is something to get our people to realize that they have a place that they have not taken. And the only reason they haven't taken that position is because they've always been told something contrary to what the truth is. And when we say that, you know, when you go through the literature and they talk about, you know, Noble Drew Ali is a prophet, right? And people's mindset automatically goes towards, you know, oh, this must be some type of dogma or whatever like that. Oh, this is some type of reverse church. Oh, this is, how can they're saying prophet? Why are they putting him as a prophet? Well, you know, you check prophet, there's many synonyms of prophet that have nothing to do with religion. Have nothing to do with any type of praying to something or anything like that. Right? Any questions, comments?
Could you explain a little bit more in regards to citizen? Could we get the definition on that? Because
Let's get it up.
I know when most people hear the word citizen, they want to know, what does it entail? Because there's a jurisdiction to citizenship.
Anybody want to lead big? Troy. Let's try that. Citizen.
So it's like if you say you're a Canadian citizen, or if you say you're a Mexican citizen, what does it entail?
Now, also, with regard to this, right? We spoke about it in one of the earlier classes, that there's a flaw right now in citizen, because majority of the people who classify themselves as this are actually connecting themselves to corporations, right? So if you're a citizenry, it's tied to a corporation, then clearly you're not this, right? So your citizenry, your being a citizen, has to tie you to a nation that is not this, right? You have citizen there?
Yes.
So the dictionary that Brother Troy Lee Bay has is a unabridged dictionary, nothing to do with law or anything like that. Nothing to do with law. It's just words in there, origin of words. All right, Mark.
Citizen. And city. So there's no direct definition for citizen, but under citizen is citron and citern and then city. City, in a general sense, a large and important town. In a narrow sense, and as regards Great Britain, a town corporate that has been the seat of a bishop and of cathedral church. In the United States, an incorporated town governed by a mayor and aldermen, the inhabitants of a city collectively.
Right? So in the regular dictionary, they don't even have anything to define what a citizen is. But they direct you to city, which is a town, which is corporate, which is the seat of a bishop, or an incorporated town. Now, majority of people would automatically go to some type of religion with bishop, but really what they're dealing with is Roman law. That's why cities are also called municipality, which also comes from Roman law, right? So that's this definition, right? This is the unabridged dictionary. City, citizen. They don't even have anything as far as a definition for citizen, right? Law dictionary.
Citizen, a member of a free society or juror society, of a free city or juror society, possessing all the rights and privileges which can be enjoyed by any person under its constitution and government, and subject to the corresponding duties. Citizens are members of community inspired to common goal, who in associated relations submit themselves to rules of conduct for the promotion of general welfare and conservation of individual as well as collective rights. The term appears to have been used in the Roman government to designate a person who had the freedom of the city and the right to exercise all political and civil privileges of the government. There was also at Rome a partial citizenship, including civil but not political rights. Complete citizenship embraced both. A member of a nation or body politic of the sovereign state or political society who owes allegiance. a member of the civil state entitled to all its privileges. One of the sovereign people, a constituent member of the sovereignty synonymous with the people. And then they have that one that's in American law.
What's the American law?
One who, under the Constitution and laws of the United States or a particular state, is a member or of the political community owing allegiance and being entitled to the enjoyment of full civil rights.
Right? So, this is why, because of the meshing of de facto and de jure, right? That's why you would hear Moors say that we're national. And then if we are going to say that we're a citizen, we're going to say national citizen. We're not going to say citizen only. Because once you say citizen only, then you could mean that you're sovereign people. You mean that you're free. It could also mean that you have full civil rights, which civil rights is unconstitutional, which means you have no rights if you say that you're a citizen. Right? Member of a nation, again, comes back to that thing. What's the status of that nation? Is it corporate? Is it de jure? Does it have anything to do with you? Is it some foreigner's concept? Right? Collective rights. So if an individual is a citizen, right, i.e. member, in our sense, member of Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, PTC, then if we have collective rights and we're a political community, then if one member gets it, then it applies to all members. So we have, for example, Brother Lanre Obey, who had his case against the police kidnapping him because of pumping gas, and they said he was drunk or whatever, and they need to give him a breathalyzer. And then he refused the breathalyzer, so they kidnapped him, went through all these different court dates or whatever like that. And then finally now, a year later or something like that, now we got the transcript for the case. And in the transcript, the so-called magistrate judge, his orders were that it was based on identification. What is identification as far as if the police say, let me see your ID, and you say here, what qualifies here, right? So the judge came out and said, well, if it has a picture and an address on it, it qualifies as identification no matter where it came from. Once it has a picture on it and it has an address on it, domicile, mailing location, whatever, it qualifies as identification, and the police have to accept it. Right? This is what the ruling was from the judge. Now, where we're going with it is that because his quote-unquote identification that he gave them had Moorish Science Temple on it, that means that not just he has that right to show that as identification, but anybody who's a member of Moorish Science Temple of America now has a transcript, which is precedent to prove that we can give this as ID. As soon as they start to pull the one, well, that's not government issued, or it doesn't matter. It has a picture, address. Here's their transcript from you guys court, you guys judge, you guys magistrate, that says that you can use this as identification. And then that now, the collective rights, right? Because we are a political community. We're not some religious people, Noble Drew Ali and he's a prophet, and then we're just really coming here pray to Noble Drew Ali or whatever. This is politics that we're dealing with. This is civics. So, as members, we have the rights as anybody else that's involved in this. Wherever. So if there's some Moors in wherever, they say that they're Moor science, whatever, or they're nationals or they're citizens, and then they get something in their favor where they're at. Now, this goes from collective rights, political community now, to nationhood now. All the stuff that Garvey was talking about, all the stuff that all these other people were talking about, that we are a nation and 22 million people, black people wake up, then these Europeans have a problem or whatever like that. This is where it is when we get to everybody realizing that there's one prophet, and Noble Drew Ali, ain't nobody else claim that they're a prophet of anything, reincarnated or whatever. Forget all that crap. It's irrelevant. And there's one temple, which is the nation of all these Moors that recognize all this stuff and they know what it is. Everybody has the same flag, everybody has the same headwear, everybody has the same holy book, everybody has the same literature, everybody has the same collective thought, which makes us nationhood, which makes us unified. So there can't be a thing of, where's the Moorish unity? I mean, people who have that concept is because they're outside of the nation. So they're looking at it like, well, there's Moors over there, and then there's Moors over there, but then those Moors over there are saying something different than those Moors over there, not realizing that in this jurisdiction of Moorish America, there's Moors that are down with what's supposed to be going on, and there's Moors who are against it. And most of the time, they're looking at the Moors who are against it, saying that, oh yeah, those are the ones that are the Moors. And then the ones who are against it are telling the people that the ones that are for it are the renegade Moors, and then they don't honor Noble Drew Ali, and they violate the act, whatever, and they violate this, they violate that, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. When the reality of it is that you cannot, there's nobody that can take somebody's birthright, which is given to them by their blood, and try to sell it to them like it's from somewhere else. It's yours. If you can't accept the fact that this is yours, even though it's being presented to you by someone, then you probably have to do some more studying, because that's all that this is. Right? Moorish Science Temple is a school. Moorish Holy Temple of Science is a school. Great Seal Association of Moorish Affairs is a school to teach people these things so that they know how they're going to go out there and be better citizens instead of being niggers, getting dragged across stuff. Right? You had a question or comment?
I just wanted you to repeat the ID case law again. What was the name of the case?
It's probably Regina versus Obindi Bay. What I'll do is I'll actually give you the I wonder if I have it on that. See if I have it on here. Because to be honest with you, I'm not sure how to spell Brother Lanray's appellation. I'll get that to you.
We can come back to it.
Yeah, I'll get that to you. All right. So if we're gonna classify ourselves citizen, you're gonna say American citizen, national, say de jure citizen, but you're not just gonna say, oh, I'm a citizen, and just leave it at that. Because as soon as you go there, then you're going into the whole Roman thing and all that. Any other comments, questions? The intent. Oh yeah, and this is bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government by Rasmariah V. Bay. The intent. It has become clear that the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the world was established for humanitarian purposes and should not be suppressed by anyone who desires to help make our world a better place to live in for all of humanity. This moral and ethical charge of responsibility is for all conscious Moors, particularly in America, whether they be active or passive, whether they possess an abundance of knowledge or do not possess an abundance of knowledge. Most, not all people who have been involved in the Moorish science temples of America harbor an attitude in these days and times which by their accounts is for the purposes of preserving and protecting that which Prophet Noble Drew Ali set forth as a program designed by him to bring the people back into the constitutional fold of government by the way of teaching them the truth about their nationality and birthrights. It is clear that one cannot come into the constitutional fold of government if they identify themselves as Negro, coloreds, blacks, Ethiopians, etc., as these labels define them as property of the state. Thereby, they have no standing at law, and thus the Constitution cannot protect or secure their unalienable birthrights, and they cannot return to the constitutional fold of government. So as soon as Noble Drew Ali came on the scene, he started telling the people that you're not Negro, black, colored. People got mad. After Noble Drew Ali died, they started, capitalize the B, capitalize the N in order to make them legitimate positions, because Noble Drew Ali was already out of the mind of the people. And the people's perspective is, well, we need or whatever, so they have their little nigger leaders that push these concepts on people, even today, still pushing this idea that they're black people. Every time you go on a lecture, there's, oh yeah, the black people are suffering, black people this, black people that, casting them into slavery. Well, black people this, black people that, African people, colored people, people of color, cast them into slavery. And the people get cast into slavery by their own, have their children getting dragged across classroom floors and stuff like that, and then they think that, oh, that's the white man that did that. Oh, that's the enemy that did that. When it has nothing to do with the enemy. It has to do with these individuals taking a position of uncivilized nature and wanting people to respect the uncivilized nature. When it's not respectable if it's uncivilized, right? Which to stress the point that that it's a custom for people to recognize us as uncivilized automatically, just by appearance, right? We could bring up that thing with the,
Yes.
right? I don't know, you want to come up and, or you can do it from there, whatever. Yeah, come up and put your name on the record and then talk about that incident that happened. Because what we want people to realize how known it is to others about who we are. And the only way that they would let us know is if we're ourselves. If we're not ourselves, then they're going to play secret, they're going to play masonry, we can't tell you about whatever. But once we be who we are and they recognize that, hold on a second, then they'll...
Yeah. So I just experienced the passing of a loved one. My cousin was murdered. On Friday, we had his funeral service, and it was presided over by a pastor from my uncle's church. So now, bear in mind, let me put it together for you. So my uncle invited his pastor, who did not know the family, is from his church. So he's invited in the last minute to preside over this proceeding. So he's given my cousin's name, and that's it. So I was doing the eulogy for my cousin. So we're not at a church, we're at a funeral home. So he's brought into a funeral home. And when he greets me, he meets me, the first thing he does is look at my fez. And he gets this smirk on his face. And then he extends his hand and he says, "Oh, pleased to meet you." And I shook his hand. I didn't say a word, he didn't say a word. So we fast forward to the service. So now, in the service, he knows that I'm going to do the eulogy. So, yes?
The pastor was a Moor?
Yes, he was in Risco, yes, absolutely.
There you go.
And
Got to get that on the record.
yes, oh yes, absolutely. So, by the name of Johnson, his name was Johnson. So, we fast forward. He starts to give a brief excerpt. He gives an introduction. He's trying to get the names right. And then he keeps mentioning me, that I'm going to do the eulogy. He keeps mentioning it. So, most of the people there know who I am. Most of it was families. There were some family friends. So, we fast forward. I do the eulogy. I address my family and issues in our family as a result of this young part of our family dying, and there's no reason for it. So it's because our people are lost, and this is why they act this way that gets them in these situations. So we fast forward to the end of the service. The pastor says that he's moved by me. That's all he says. He's moved by me. And then he goes on to say, you know, we shouldn't ask certain questions because certain questions can't be answered. The only time that questions can be answered that are unknown is by God, and God is the only sovereign being. So he starts talking about sovereignty. Now I know this goes over everybody's head, and he's looking at me when he says it. I'm sitting in the front. He's locked eyes with me, talking to me about sovereignty. God is a sovereign being, just like that. So we fast forward to the end. He brings up Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement and says, you know, Martin Luther King gave a speech about our people, and he says he's seen the promised land, and he may not get there with you, but he's been to the mountaintops. He says, and he's looking at me again, right? Looking right at me. And I start smiling. So I start smiling because him and I know what he's talking about. No one else knows. And then, okay, civil rights, and okay. So the proceeding ends. He doesn't say a word to me after that. Doesn't say, nice to meet you, goodbye, nothing. My uncle that brought him there calls me the next day, which is Saturday morning. Ringing my phone off the hook. Calls me 4 times. And this, I don't hear from Uncle, you know, maybe once a month. Calls me 4 times. So I call him back. And I say, Uncle, you know, is there a problem? He says, no, I just wanted to tell you that the pastor was very impressed by you. He mentioned to me again how moved he was by your speech, and he's very impressed by you. And I said, okay. He says, yeah, the pastor wants to get together with you and talk. He wants to talk to you. So my uncle's talking from a proud perspective because he's proud that I'm his nephew and the pastor wants to talk to me, but he doesn't understand what the pastor wants to talk to me about. So I say, okay, that's no problem. I'd love to get together with the pastor. He says, yeah. Again, he called me and he said he couldn't stop thinking about you all night. Couldn't stop thinking about you all night. He was so moved by you. So I said, oh, okay. And he says he wants to get together, and this Sunday he's going to speak about you during his sermon.
That's this Sunday.
That's today, right now, starting 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So my mother said, I'm going to go down there because I want to hear what he has to say. Right? So I have this discussion with my mother. My mother says, well, you know, Mom, you have to understand the codes that he's using. She says, yes, I know. I recognized it because Mom's been to meetings. So I said to Mom, it's not by accident. She says, oh, do you think he knows? I said, I know that he knows. And then I refreshed the secret Treaty of Verona with her, Article 3, which clearly states they know, and they are governed to adopt any methods to serve their interests while they're keeping the people, subdued with religion. So, the purpose of religion. And then I hit her with the black codes, the Christian black codes. And also the King Alfred Plan, where it states very clearly that, yes, Article 3, Secret Treaty of Verona, 17, so this Secret Treaty of Verona was 1822, and it was addressed again in Congress in 19 actually before. 1924, something like that. So Article 3. Convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in the state of passive obedience which they owe their princes. The high contracting parties declare it to be their intention to sustain in their respective states those measures which the clergy may adopt with the aim of ameliorating their own interests. So intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes, and the contracting powers join in offering their thanks to the Pope for what he has already done for them, and solicit his constant cooperation in their views of submitting the nations. And then I asked my mom again, so Mom, do you think he knows? And she said, my goodness. That was her response, my goodness. And then I will hear further from her what he has to say. And I'm going to get together with this pastor, and I'm going to defy him to question me, and I'm going to answer his questions. But I'm not going to get emotional. I'm going to do it with facts. So no matter what this pastor says to me, I'm going to ask him about documented history and see what your response is. So I just want to share that profound experience with the brothers and sisters. I'm Troy Lee Albay. Thank you.
The Constitution only protects those who honor their mothers and fathers and proclaim their nationality, natality, derived from their mother. One must declare their nationality and acknowledge themselves with their free national name as a free natural person, and not as a branded corporate person, a fictitious person, property of slaveholders, the corporate state, i.e. state property. And then all the hip-hop guys just remember state property, right? And you know what I mean? How far that went. Right? Gaining and losing membership. Most temple leadership complain about the loss of membership. More succinctly, they say the members come in to nationalize and then they stop attending after they receive their nationality card. These temples have dispensed policies that threaten the members with disenfranchisement and denouncement for failure to support the temple. The truth is, they cannot denounce anyone's declaration of nationality, and for them to even remotely think that they can, as a matter of policy, is absurd. It is clear that this type of leadership has utilized the art of making the member feel guilty. Yes, it is incumbent of the member to support their temple. However, it is also more than a responsibility for the temple to offer the program that the prophet left. The first thing then is to be active in gaining membership, and then to uphold the program designed for activity of the members. Failure to do so is first of all not the members' fault, and secondly, a clear call for temples to review and reflect their activities and their responsibility against the common people almost across the board. If their temple consists of many inactive members, the temple is an inactive temple. The leadership in the temple thinks they are being active because they keep putting the blame on people and won't take responsibility themselves, and they take the position that they are upholding the Prophet's program when they are not. Since these programs cannot be maintained without the quote-unquote people, then they have inactive members or no members in an inactive temple. As mentioned earlier, how can they place any further blame on the people than what the Prophet already assessed and set forth in the program to address and correct in the first place? The infiltration. The following is an excerpt from the FBI's investigation report of 1940 through 1953. The Moore Science Temple was organized in 1913 in Newark, New Jersey, right, which is fiction, because Moore Science Temple didn't come till 1928.
Right.
Right? So for them to say Moore Science Temple founded 1913 means that this is the work of the infiltrators to get the people to self-abandon the civic nature which was in the old Canaanite temple and the Moorish Holy Temple of Science from 1913 to 1926. So they eliminate those years and then they pump up the Moore Science Temple as that was around since the beginning of when the Prophet started, when that wasn't around from the beginning. The temple was investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigations in 1953 for violation of the Selective Services Act of 1948 and for sedition. In September 1953, the Department of Justice concluded that prosecution for a violation of the Selective Service Act was not warranted. A 1940 investigation was conducted to determine if the Moore Science Temple of America was committing subversive activities by adhering to the spreading of Japanese propaganda. The investigation failed to substantiate the members were pro-Japanese. Sedition, separation from, the incitement of resistance to or insurrection against lawful authority. Now we know that the so-called U.S. Corporation was bankrupt since 1933. So to say that in 1953, Department of Justice is saying that, you know, these people are or in 48, sorry, that these people are in violation of Selective Services Act and sedition is a bold-faced lie, because the people who have the Selective Services Act are the dissolved, bankrupt, and insolvent United States since 1933, which means they're not the lawful authority, which means that it's not sedition, because they're not the guys that have the authority. They're corporate banksters, you know, frauds. They're playing the game that they have the authority. But in saying that they have the authority when no authority exists with them, right? If the people go ahead with it, that's how they get the authority.
Assumed authority.
Assumed authority, right? So if we know that we're not black people, but then we go with people saying black people that and Black Lives Matter or whatever, and we don't say anything, then we're obviously down with black stuff and we're admitting that it exists, which it doesn't exist, because there's no black nation, there's no black flag, there's no black anything that can tie these so-called people called black to a landmass or a constitution or anything that is relative to that identity or that label. It is necessary to make a correction, or rather a fact of distinction, from that report, and for anyone who may not be clear. The old Canaanite temple, later the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, was created in 1913. The founder was Noble Joe Ali. There are 3,117 pages submitted by various FBI branches in regards to their investigation across the country. I have gone through approximately 1,500 pages. After a while it became redundant because the reports were compiled from all active FBI agencies across the country, and all of them, for instance, scanned or during the time utilized microfilm to archive the entire Circle 7 Quran questionnaire divine bylaws and constitution, I did not see the standard Moorish literature booklet, as it was probably compiled by the Moorish Science Temple members sometime after the investigation of the early 40s throughout 1953. Any questions, comments? That's good. Events leading to the death of the Prophet. Let's do a backup to just before Noble Drew Ali passed form in 1929, as this is what led to the above debauchery. Noble Drew Ali successfully headed the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the world under the Moorish Holy Temples of Science, with thousands of members that went close to 1 million or more by the time of the infiltration. He gained respect and support of various congressmen such as Oscar de Priest, as Noble Drew Ali was a true diplomat. There was a fellow member, Claude Green, who became very jealous of him and wanted to take over the operations. Now, I can't be sure if Green was a devoted member or an informant, as there is very, very little information leading to the event wherein Drew Ali and Green had an argument. Green put Noble Drew Ali's furniture out in the street as an indication that he was now the new leader. Later, they found Green's body shot and stabbed. The FBI immediately came after Drew Ali, where they found him sitting with his wife and some members collaborating, as the FBI claimed. They took him to prison. He had two consuls who later gained political prominence, Aaron Payne and William L. Dawson or Davidson. The principal being Payne. Payne tried to hold things together, and this is why Gibbons broke into his office. While Noble Drew Ali was in prison, he wrote the following letter, which is said to be the last writing of his, because when he got out on bail, he was dead within a few weeks. They report that it was either from the beating he received by the police, admitting he was beat, or from the beating he received from quote-unquote Green's posse. Noble Drew Ali's last letter. To all heads of all temples, Islam, I, your prophet, do hereby and now write you a letter as a warning and appeal to your good judgment for the present and the future. Though I am now in the custody for you and the cause, it is all right, and it is well for all those who still believe in me and my Father God. I have redeemed all of you, and you shall be saved, all of you, even with me. I go to bat Monday, May 20th, before the grand jury. If you are with me, be there. Hold out and keep faith, and great shall be your reward. Remember my laws and love ye one another. Prefer not a stranger to your brother. Love and truth, and in peace I leave you. So he already knew he was, going or whatever. He writing like that. Now the FBI had many informants and infiltrators who were members of various temples. They utilized surveillance and microphones. They reported the temple meetings as being conducted in the following manner. First, there is a minor sheikh or sheikhess or chairman who reads from and explains the Quran. Then a more elaborate disclosure by the Grand Sheikh. Christian hymns are sang with Allah, Drew Ali, and Muslim substituting God, Christ, and Christian. Right? So that was bringing the people back into the constitutional fold. Get that on RV Bay Publications. And the last two more books. The book right now is Moorish Paradigm, Journal of the Moorish Paradigm, Brother Hakeem Bey. And this is the Master's issue number 13. The Prophecies of the Mahdi. Thus, as the Muslims in the East are even to this day awaiting the Mahdi, little do they realize that he has already come. He has come from a rejected and despised people who they never have thought would produce their long-awaited Mahdi. The same way they, the Arabs, were seen when the Prophet Muhammad came from among them. Thus we are now the portion of the Asiatic family from whom the last prophet has come from. This is the reason why the Arabs and many of the current Muslims of the East have and will oppose us as we rise. It is in the very prophecies of which they themselves hold in their hands. This opposition was actually fulfilled by a Muslim named Sati Majid, Sattimajid, who was so outraged by the Prophet bringing a new quote-unquote Quran, he wrote the Prophet demanding that he change the name and burn the book. He even tried to get the United States government involved, but the government did not get involved and told Sati Majid to go to the men of knowledge and religion to seek redress. Right? It means they don't have jurisdiction. Right? He then went to the Muslim scholars in Egypt to get them to pronounce a fatwa against Prophet Noble Jew Ali, which they did. They also, however, spoke against Sati Majid and his qualifications. It was said in the prophecies that the Muslims in the East have, that the Muslims in the East have, that the Mahdi will invite a new movement, a new tradition, a new method, yet they will rebel against that which they themselves know. He appears with a new method, new principles, and new judgments. He will be severe with the Arabs. When Qiyam emerges, he will come with a new commission, a new book, a new conduct, and a new judgment which will be strenuous for the Arabs. His work is nothing but to fight, and no one will be spared. He will not be afraid of any blame in the execution of his duty. Imam Jafar as-Sadiq. Truly blessed are we, the strangers. There is no one else who fulfilled all these prophecies rather than Noble Jew Ali. The Prophet did bring us a Quran, as our people requested in the magazine article. The Negro is crying for Muhammad to come forth and give him the Quran of economic and intellectual welfare. Where is he? He fulfilled the Islamic prophecies concerning the Mahdi as seen in the above quotes. He even fulfilled the Christian prophecies found in the book of Revelations. Notice the 7th seal on the Quran. Now that we have a little background on Prophet Noble Jew Ali and his rise to prophethood, let us now look at what exactly he did to raise and save us as a nation. A divided movement for the uplifting of a nation. Prophet Noble Jew Ali said to the Moors, I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourselves. What was it that Prophet Noble Jew Ali brought to save us as a nation? When he made that statement, it is said he was holding up the Quran of the MSTA and the questionnaire containing the 1928 Charter and the laws for the Moorish Science Temple of America. Right? And that's Moorish Paradigm by Hakeem Bey. Any questions or comments? Any more testimonials? We always got something going on.
I have this morning.
Oh, it
No, this morning.
Yeah.
My lady friend she, whenever I talk about the Moors, she don't want to hear it. She hang up the phone. Every time I start to talk, she said, "This Kolpiahin, look at you, piece of whatever she called me." This morning now, only to call me and tell me, you know my European girlfriend? I was talking to her and she said, why don't you go to the meeting with him one time? One time. So that's this morning what I hear. That's the best thing I heard this morning.
Yeah.
All this time she's been calling me all kind of names. Look at you, you look like whatever. And our European friend, talk to her this morning and tell her, go to the meeting one time with Normie. You don't have to say nothing. Just go there and sit down.
That's it.
I tell her, if you come this morning, you'll make me happy. She said she's have things to do as usual, but at least she get that part of it
Right.
from someone else.
Right.
Because I even told her to, I bet you it is. She said, no, it's one of, and then after she admitted. I said, yeah, they know more than even you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's what happened this morning.
Right. And keep in mind that Jew Ali told these Moors, the Europeans are going to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tell her the truth this morning.
drop the truth on her this morning.
Yeah.
Right. there was some questions.
What was that last point you said? Europeans will drop the truth? What did you say?
Yeah,
Oh.
Europeans will tell the
Like,
truth.
like what her friend
Yeah.
did to her. She dropped the truth on her because
Okay.
I've been telling her and she's not listening to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now she tell her she gets it.
Brother Anthony Bay. Peace Moors would like to share of an experience while trying to study in the park in my automobile. A sergeant asked if I was the registered owner of this vehicle. As the current registration tags were 5 months expired, I asked who was he looking for. He said, I'm conducting an investigation as to the expired tags. I asked him if he had a letter from a judge that says he wants to see me. He says, you mean if I have a warrant? No. Do you have a California state ID or driver's license? My response, no. He asked if I were a sovereign citizen. My response, no. Are you a U.S. citizen? I said, no. I do have a nationality card as a Moorish American. He said, I don't know what you mean. What is that? I said, Moroccan is my bloodline. I'm descendant and I have rights, constitutional rights to privacy, and this is my personal automobile. I am not a driver of a vehicle or truck for commerce. He said, do you have ID? I showed my right to travel card. He said he's been in this job 20 years and never seen anything like this before. Right now, this is secondary to the first time when Brother Anthony dealt with this. While the sergeant was checking the ID, another enforcer asked me where I got the ID from, what consulate. I had not considered the question, so although technically it's from our regency, for the correct answer, I simply said yes. Upon the sergeant's return, he said, you have a current license that shows your address of San Paulo, blah, blah. He asked if I had any questions for him. I said, yes. Who is so-and-so? Before I could finish my question, he said, my lieutenant has a number for you. End of story. No ticket, no kidnapping. Question. Be sure to follow up on putting personal belonging into your own trust. And while driving as Moors, to have something on your person to demonstrate the fact. I did not have on my fez at this time. Right? So anytime that you are engaging with people, it's important to be who you're claiming that you are. If you're going to show ID, say that you're a Moor, then you should have something that qualifies that. No different than the Sikhs. They got their stuff. They're not even going to get questioned. People are going to see them and automatically know that they're Sikh. Right? So again, because of the constant denationalization of our people are automatically going to assume we're nigger when they see us. That's just what it is. If you're not distinguished by fez, turban, nationality card, something to prove that you're not nigger, then they're going with that guy's probably nigger, then let's do whatever we do to niggers to him. Right? That's just their mode of operations. That's just how they do. Right? This is brother Rob Bay. Islam. I'm trying to figure out where I should start with this story. One brother suggested I go to these classes in Cleveland, and I was going for 4 months and I liked it. I still liked it. Anyhow, the same brother told me I was ready to join the temple in Cleveland so I could get more of a better comprehension about the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali and get my nationality card. He told me to call this one brother who was the Grand Sheikh at Temple number 7 in Cleveland. But when I called him, he was telling me that he was mad at the brother that sent me to him because I shouldn't have went to him just for a nationality card, but to join the temple, because that was the word and principles of Noble Drew Ali. He said he knew in his spirit that I was calling him for that. He said it's more than just having freedom, but love, truth, peace, and justice as well. I told him that I was studying for a year plus going to classes for 4 months, which I found out later that I wasn't supposed to tell him that. I told him, yes, I definitely want my nationality card, but love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice is not the only reason I'm here, but it's who I am, period. I started telling him that for a year I was watching a lot of Taj Tariq Bey, Hakim Bey, Yafa Bey, Abdullah Mozi Bey, Kudradwa El, Alim Bey, 13th Son, Razmaraya Bey, etc. And that's when he started going in on all of you, saying they're not doing what the Prophet said to do. And I asked him, like what? He said they are not in the temple, and that you, Kudro, and Taj were not teaching the people right, and that him and Hakim Bey were coming up in the temple together. And he said that Hakim Bey is not in the temple today, and to basically just listen to him, he could really show me what the Holy Prophet was truly about. I was discouraged when he told me this, but I figured I'll just ignore all of that and just go there and focus on getting my nationality card and learn about the Prophet's principles. When I went there on a Friday and afterwards, I bought a shirt from this lady, and she said, let me sew this button on for you and I'll give it to you on Sunday, or better yet, just give me your address and I'll mail it to you. So when I talked to him a week later, he said he told the woman to just wait till I come back and give it to him. I personally believe he wanted to use the shirt to get me to come back to the temple, which I could have regardless. So I went to the meeting and they started talking about ways to make money and putting cameras on traffic lights in East Cleveland, and let's find our own people instead of letting the cops do it, and we run red lights and stop signs, etc. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After the meeting was over, I talked to the lady about getting my shirt, and she said she forgot it at home. I'm not mad at this lady, but she spoke broken English and I really didn't understand where she was going, and said that the Grand Sheikh told her that she should try to get more money from me, and I told her I don't have money to spend like that. I could only afford that one shirt. So I talked to the Grand Sheikh at Temple 7 a couple of days later, and I told him that I wasn't coming back to the temple because I didn't know how he went about things. I didn't like how he went about things between me and the woman, and he said I was making a mistake for not coming back. And you cannot fulfill what the Prophet said if I don't go to the temple, and you really need to study. I told him integrity and character is everything to me, and you didn't show that when you told me that when you told the lady not to mail my shirt. I don't mean to keep rambling, but I was frustrated. But to make a long story short, I'm going to get everything off RV Bay Publications and just keep studying and just wrap this up in a year or so. I have learned a lot of these temples are infiltrated and that they really don't want to liberate the people. But I'm always saying the Moorish prayer and always aligning myself with the rules and ways of my forefathers and foremothers every day, but everything will work itself out. Thank you for everything, Islam. Brother Eric Durham. How do you change your legal status? So obviously there's somebody new into the information. With regard to changing, we continually stress correct opposed to change. Because a correction could be done by self, and change implies done for you. So when someone says, how do I change my legal status? Right? That's really setting yourself up, because more than likely their perspective is they have to go to court, somebody for them to give them a paper, and then they fill out the paper, sign the paper that they want to change their name, they pay a fee or whatever, and then whatever, then they get, right? Correction implies that there was an error. The error is that we agreed to be Negro, black, colored people when we're not that. No court, no form, no whatever made you Negro, black, colored. So you don't need to do a form process to get out of that position. You just have to correct. So instead of classifying yourself as Negro, black, colored, you start classifying yourself as more. Instead of just letting people talk, you're in a conversation and people talk, yeah, they know the black people are or whatever like that, you just let them keep going on with their black stuff. Correct. So that those individuals know that there's an issue in saying that you are something that you're not. So like for example, if we go to anybody from the continent of Africa, they won't say I'm African out their mouth. They'll say the nation in Africa that they're from.
Ghana.
Right?
That's what I asked one.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. A lady too.
Yeah.
One of my customers, I asked her. She
Yeah.
didn't say she's African.
Right.
She said she's from Ghana.
She's from Ghana, from Nigeria, from, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So a lot of the work that has to be done is by individuals who have the information, right? And they are seeing this as it's their birthright. This is not something that, well, I went to class and I listened to whatever they said. I'm not Negro, black, colored, and I understand that I'm not that. But I heard somebody say that they're black, but I didn't want to tell them anything because I don't have a card, and I don't have papers to say that I'm more, so I can't say that. That's not. It's an error to say that we're black people. It's a flaw, historical flaw. It's a legal flaw. It's misrepresentation. It's everything negative. So how do you correct your status? Starts with correcting your mindset. And that's the first thing you have to correct. Because if your mindset's still Negro, black, colored, but then you have stuff saying that you're more, then you're gonna cancel yourself out. Because what you have on the papers, on the cards, is not gonna match up with your mindset. And you're eventually gonna get to that point where somebody's gonna challenge your card or whatever, and then if you can't answer, then clearly you shouldn't have that stuff. A majority of people want to have the stuff before they have their mindset right. So we push people to remember Noble Drew Ali's keywords. Study, study, study. Because if we're really coming from a mindset that we're black, Negro, colored, African, we're these things that we're not, then we need to get on this like ASAP.
Yeah, that's true. This morning I was studying.
Mm.
And yesterday, remember I told you I had a bolt on the door?
Yeah.
You took it out?
Right.
I said I was going to go to the store and buy 3 more.
Yeah.
This morning, about 3-4 hours study, And then one friend come to visit me about 6, because that's the time I could to get some sleep. And on the lock, it has a piece inside where you could just turn it. On the outside, you need a key. It just come to me, just put a vice grip on that piece. So wherever I have a key outside, cannot come in. And I have a key to the back door.
Right.
So now I technically change a lock that he has key for.
Right.
With that vice grip.
With the
inside.
vice grip, right.
Yeah.
Right. What?
That just come to me while I was
Okay.
doing my stuff.
And again,
Yeah.
right? And this is how when they say Allah talks to man, right? That you would be in the mode of studying, right? And then you have a revelation. The reason why is because study is another form of meditation. Without the and all that stuff, play the music in the background. You don't need all that. Just put some focus into the right literature.
And a lot of times that revelation has nothing to do with what you're studying.
With what you're studying.
No.
Majority of time, the revelation has absolutely nothing to do with what you're studying. But it has something to do with your life or whatever you're dealing with. Right? Always. Newly conscious. My name is Taryn Foster. I'm newly conscious. Would like to make contact with this group. I missed a session at the library this summer. I would like to know if there's any more other. Well, I'll answer that with Canaanland Moors on YouTube. Everything's up there. rvbaypublications.com, and I'm probably gonna be out that way again soon. Until then, like we just said, it's all about studying. Study from the right source, which is for us rvbaypublications.com, and you'll be clear. Anissa Bay. I've noticed in many interactions with other Moors on Facebook that some people believe Prophet Noble Drew Ali ordered this movement to operate in one way, some hidden way that I have not been privy to evidently. I am new to this information and only been studying for about a year, but nothing I've learned thus far leads me to believe that this movement is one way or the highway. Some things are just common sense, which may not be common. What am I missing? We're not missing anything. That's really what's going on. That's why we talked about the infiltration. That's why we talk about, these individuals that we classify as dirty Moors, what they do, how they do, key phrases that they use, key things that they say to try to get people to put their attention off of Noble Drew Ali. Because as soon as you take your attention off Noble Drew Ali, you're probably going to bump into some Moor who thinks that they're the prophet and tell you that they're reincarnated. He's reincarnated through them and all that to lead you further astray. Right? And with all these distractions, majority of these distractions come from individuals who we know are opportunists. Right? They're not looking at this like what Noble Drew Ali said, that this is Rotarian, right? Humanitarian. Right? Meaning that we have to be providing a service to our people. Right? This is a service that we're providing. Right? It's not a service that we are charging people for. Because everything that we know as conscious Moors belongs to the people who are classified as Negro, black, colored that don't know this. It belongs to them. But if they don't embrace it as theirs, then they're gonna have situations like this sister where, oh yeah, well I talked to this more and he said whatever, and I talked to these more, because there's certain things that were laid down, right? Any announcements?
Nothing new.
All right.
Just in regards to the membership forms.
Yeah.
We've touched on it already.
All right.
Nothing new.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
That's something just looking at the email earlier. I'm seeing there's a new temple in Brampton.
Yeah. So with regard to that, there was talk that there's a new temple started in Brampton. In order for there to be a new temple, right, the authority has to come through us, and we don't play new temples, right? If there is going to be a temple, it's going to be this in Brampton. It's going to be this in Mississauga. It's going to be this in wherever. It's not going to be a new thing. As soon as it's classified as a new thing, you have to start thinking about why is it new? Why is there a new one? What's wrong with the old one? You know what I mean? Right? If there is a new temple, it has to be headed by people who have gone through what's known as the Attic Chamber. Right? Like they have to have been taken by people who are on this information already, given certain tests. When they pass, then they qualified to start a study group before they are a temple even. So a temple doesn't just pop up because somebody says, I want to start one. Right? The temple comes from these Moors that went through the chamber qualifying themselves through having a study group first, and then once they prove themselves in a study group, then they would get something called a warrant of authority, which gives them the power to exercise as a temple, but not necessarily be a temple yet. And then once they finish their warrant of authority, then they get their charter. Now they can do temple stuff, and you're looking at, 1 to 2 year process depending on the level of knowledge of the individuals who are the heads of that.
The reason why I asked though, because I see one email and I see another one saying what's going on. I thought it was kind of a confusion thing.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
really
Right.
what this going on.
So maybe I could address that for the brother. So this so-called new temple, the address of that temple is my business. So there's been some misinformation, and I agreed to allow them to use the facilities based on the good faith of the people I was talking to and misinformation. So I am here today, which means there's no temple in Brampton. So just to clarify, yeah?
Yeah.
So I had a phone conversation with Brother Cujo last night on the phone because I'm looking for clarity. I asked this brother for the things that Brother Cujo just mentioned. Where are these things? Show me these things. They did not exist, they were not produced. So, there is no temple in Brampton. Not at that address that was posted in that email. And there will be no temple in Brampton unless it is through temple number 5. And you heard that directly from me. Yes?
Horse's mouth.
Right.
And, yeah,
Sorry,
right.
Cujo. I mean, let's clarify everything in regards to everything we're doing. Our divine constitution.
Yes.
Could you, I've done it before, you've done it before. Could we read it so that we could verify certain aspects of the information pertaining to Moors in the Moorish Science Temple of America? Because it solidifies everything that's going on. You just cannot willy-nilly do something as Grand Sheik, myself as secretary or treasurer, just because you want to do something. There are rules and regulations and bylaws that are set in place for all of us to follow. So just put it on the record, just so we understand.
The divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America, right? I'm just Moorish Science Temple, because do both.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, so divine constitution and bylaws, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Same stuff, right? Being that we are looking at this from a national perspective, right? We have Moorish America in ours, so we can be in unity with the nation. Because we're not playing this game of, well, we're Moorish Science Temple, then those guys over there are Moorish Science Temple, but they don't like that we let sisters wear fezzes, so they're not going to be in unity with us. And the stuff that people say, oh, there's issues and there's, why is there division? And there ain't no division. There's no division. If you witness that there's division, you're probably dealing with dirty Moors. If you're saying, oh, how come there's so much division in the Moors? You're probably looking at dirty Moors, because, like we tell people, there's Moors in Switzerland that are members of this temple.
Exactly.
There's Moors all throughout the United States of America that are members of this temple. Because when they went to the temple, they realized their division, and they're not dealing with nationhood. Right? Divine Constitution of Moorish America. The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of Moorish America, right, which means any Grand Sheikh, any chairman, right, is empowered to make law, enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. Not Grand Body of Moorish Science Temple, because the Grand Body is you people. The Grand Body isn't some group of Moors that know what's going on and they have secret meetings or whatever. The Grand Body is the nation. That's why we have national flag, not organizational flag. Why would an organization have a national flag and not represent the nation? Why would the religious corporation have a national flag, not a religious corporate flag? The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister, or on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5. All organizations of Moorish America, no organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new era, but this is a new era of time now, and all men must now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hands and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his father God Allah. Anything to add to that? More?
No, just, I mean, it lays it out. Like, without the Grand Sheik and the Assistant Grand Sheik, nothing gets started. But then again, without the body, nothing gets started. So it's, as you just mentioned, a Rotarian, whereas we depend on each other for things to move forward. That being said, nothing can get started without the whole body knowing what's going on.
Right.
And that's where the confusion comes in. As you read the email, there's a temple somewhere. Okay, well, it used to be too, because I didn't sign off on anything yet.
Right.
So, let's get that on the deal.
Anything else? All right. So we just want to thank everybody for being at class today. Islam to all the Moors online and all the Moors that are waking up and the Moors that we're still yet to wake up. We'll just close out with the prayer. Please rise, face the east. Five on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Ashe, Islam. Islam Moors.
Don't put your phone back.